And at that assembly, they showed him a video. And instead of sitting in the chair during the video, he sat in the crowd with the rest of the students and watched this video. And he was able to get online and say a speech at the ceremony for those fifth grade kids. So you can't tell me he does not care for those students. And what I want to know from you is, where was the 200 signatures that were submitted to you in regards to Mr. Williams possibly taking the spot?
They were shown to us. They were shown to us when at the interview process.
Well, then what did you do with it? Did you take it into consideration?
Yes. No. Yes. Please.
I'd like to be heard as a parent, please.
Sir, what's your name?
My name is Jennifer O'Donnell, 1030 New Brooklyn Road. I have 2 children in Union Valley. I stood before the board on September 19th, 2011, and I pleaded with you to put an end to the bullying my child had endured for 4 years in your school system. For 4 years, the same child slapped him, tripped him, called him names, told him he smelled, tried to intimidate him, and eventually broke his spirit. For 4 years. My son was in the 3rd grade. I begged you to take a look at his case and say yes. If bullying was found on day 1, day 2, day 3, then of course on day 5, it was bullying involving the same child. You chose to ignore my pleas and ultimately ignored my son. You were wrong. You were wrong because on May 10th, 2012, the bully and 2 of his friends decided it would be fun to gang up on my son and call him names. Let me tell you how this affected him. It brought back the slap, the tripping, the intimidation, the discomfort, and the broken spirit. In turn, it was you, the members of the board, who bullied my child. I begged you to put an end to it. Mr. Carr, Mr. Collins, Ms. Coyle, Mr. Gunn, Mr. Lalli, Ms. Reese, and Ms. Gilch. You are all personally responsible for the May 10th bullying of my son. I question your ability to make decisions in the best interest of the children. I question your ability to put aside politics and focus on the children. The person who finally stood up for my son and put an end to it was Tracy Elwell. She finally said enough is enough. The only person who stuck up for the child in the entire Gloucester Township school system, you're choosing to take away from us. The Union Valley children were devastated when Mr. Rose left. I'm sorry, they were devastated when you allowed Mr. Rose to walk out the door. You rotate everyone else. Mr. Rose was an asset to this township, a huge asset to this township. Miss Elwell worked hard on building relationships with the children to bridge that gap. She's a great fit for Union Valley. Please don't take her away from our children.
It's my mom's birthday.
Oh, thank you. Well, now you'll remember it is the day that you allowed my son to be bullied.
My name is Annie Bobby. I am a proud parent to 2 Lilly students, a 1st grader and a 3rd grader. I am also a product of Gloucester Township Schools myself. First, I want to thank everybody here that's working without a contract. For all you do for our kids. I know you may not realize that we care the way that we do it may not be as visible. I know, but sometimes you need to hear it, so For teachers of my kids and everybody. Thank you so much. All right. It has come to my attention, as everybody here, that your plans of moving Mr. Holmes from Lilly to Union Valley. I know you have your reasons, and I thank you for kind of acknowledging and explaining them that we may never really understand or agree. But I feel it's my duty. I live by no regrets. So if I sit quietly on the sidelines and let everybody do what they have to do without me speaking up, then I feel that I haven't done my part. And Mr. Holmes is a fantastic assistant principal. And in the family of Lily, from a parent perspective and from the perspective of my children, they are the one that he knows. Mrs. Rosebound's not here this evening. She is not who interacts with his children. Looking at changing and making changes, perhaps that should be an avenue, and maybe you did. But from my perspective as a parent, and even speaking with my kids, I ask them questions. You know, who's the principal? What do they do? It's Mr. Holmes you see high-fiving the kids as they walk down the hall. It's he who they brag about. I got to read to Mr. Holmes today. I learned how to do this book. I read to him today. It's he who they're bringing presents and pictures to. It's him that they win the opportunity to have lunch with the great Mr. Holmes. It's him that the kids call out to. As a parent who's come to the school, one of my children, I've had to go to the school many times to meet with the child's mentor. I have sat in the office. Every time I've been in that office, he has acknowledged me and made me feel welcome. If I have a problem, I know I can come to him. Thankfully, I haven't needed to. However, I've not always felt that way with the principal. With him, I feel that way. It's he who I see on nights like this. I don't know what Ms. Rosebound's schedule was like. I'm not saying she didn't want to be here, but this is the gentleman I see here tonight. Perhaps this decision, it at least could be postponed. Please, if you decide not to make any changes, please don't do it right now to these kids at Lilly. They had the interim changes at the beginning of the year with Rosebound somewhere else. They had that transition once. Please don't. If you're going to keep this decision, please give them until the summer to have this type of transition go. I beg you. Last, as Mr. Holmes always says, it's your decision to make a great day. Do it or you don't. It's your decision to make the right decision. Please do it. Please keep Mr. Holmes. Let us keep him. Union Valley is happy. They're here. They're asking to not move their administrator. We don't want our administrator. Thank you so much for your time. Mr. Lalli, it seems you are very more into the notes than you are listening to the speakers.
This is going to be classic. The funny thing is, I've been zooming up on it.
I pointed out that you are an elected official. These notes have been available prior to this meeting. It seems that every time an individual has gotten up here to speak, you've been much more concerned with those notes.
It's on camera. Yes, you have.
Yes, ma'am. Excuse me?
My name is Cheryl. I live at 23 Heritage Hill. I am a parent of 3 in the district, and I am an aide here in the district. I have seen these teachers working without a contract, and as a parent, I want to know why we cannot give them a contract. Why are we, what is pushing this along? Why are we doing this? These teachers work. I see them work hard. I didn't know this until I been an aide, how hard these teachers work, and now I see inside the building. But as a parent, the past 7 years in this district, I really never acknowledged it until now. They work above and beyond, out of their own pocket. What they do for these children and how important it is. And how important it is when my son needs help and these teachers will stay and email me at night. I email at night and I think I'm going to get an answer to the next day, and all of a sudden, a few minutes later, they're doing it. They're still doing above and beyond without a contract. Why can't my tax dollars give them a contract? That's right. I can't see why my teachers who take care of my kid 16 hours a day to teach them, which are our future, why we can't give them a contract.
Well, they have a contract. They don't have an extension of the contract. Every single teacher is being paid under the contract that was in place last year. All the other terms and conditions are in place. The reality of the situation is that the parties have met, the teachers have a certain demand on the table, the board has a certain demand on the table, and there hasn't been a meeting of the minds. We have what they call we've had a couple sessions with a mediator. We have a fact-finding scheduled for the end of March. At which time, which was a time frame that the association said that they could meet in terms of putting their case together for the fact line. So we simply, I think people out there said we want a fair contract. Well, I think the board wants a fair contract too. What the teacher's interpretation of a fair contract is, and I don't know to what extent you've been apprised as to what's going on, is a higher number than the board presently is at. And I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of the discussion, but at this point in time, there's a distance between what each party thinks is fair.
I think they should be paid what they do.
Well, the other issue is, in the state of New Jersey, more so now than at any time in the past,
Here we go, blame somebody
there's a
else.
large number of districts that have not come to sell. Washington Township, a neighboring district,
I'm a non-contract for 7 days. I mean, that's nothing, and I don't care about them. I care about these people. They got an education. They deserve what they are.
Let me just say this. I don't think there's a person that sits up. Matter of fact, I know there's not a person that sits up there that doesn't think these teachers do a great job. There's, I work in a school district too. Our teachers do not have a contract also. That's in Black Horse Pike, that's higher than Timothy Detroit. They also do not have a contract. The reality of it is right now, as everybody knows, things are tough. We have a 2% cap on our budget. That's what we get.
It's an expired contract
We
right here.
have a 2% cap on our budget. And we have to negotiate somehow to make us get that contract. There's not one person that sits up here. I mean, I know many of these people personally. My son went to school here also. My son went to school through this district, got a great education, couldn't be proud. Went to the Black Horse Pike School District, couldn't be proud. Everything that happened to him. I've worked in the Black Horse Pike School District my life. I've been here for 50 years. I went to the school district, all through those schools. There is no one up here that doesn't believe these teachers do a good job. And, let's not say, hey, we don't have a contract because we don't think they're not doing a good job, they're not fair. That's not true. The reality of it is, it's a fiscal thing. I wish I could give them as much money as they want. That's not in me to be able to do that. We're in the confines of the budget. And that's the reality of where we stand today. I mean, everybody's listening to the governor. You'll never hear one single person, you'll never hear one single person ever back a teacher that sits up here. You'll never hear them say some of the things our governor said, or some of the other people have said about
somebody else
education.
again.
Never. You'll never hear anyone say anything about B101 as a spouse. The people here care about the kids, and we care about
the union,
about
but not the teachers. The union. No, you're not. No, you're
Let me
not.
take this in a different direction. I'm very concerned about the contracts. I'm extremely concerned about the principal. But I think another subject that we need to touch on is the autism program. Several of us have children in that program, and things that are going on right now are not acceptable to us or to, don't hold your hand up.
Vacancy. So we don't know what the urgency is to move all of these administrators. They really are not interchangeable parts. We're dealing with real I have 2 children in the school district. I have a business that I own in this township, and I have been a part of the aerial school system for 7.5 years. And I am very, very upset, first of all, that you would not even consider a man to move up into the position as principal. Again, like I said before, after 200 signatures were signed of parents. That means people like myself who work a full-time job. Now, I'm a business owner. I work out of my house. I work probably 40 to 50 hours a week, if not more. My husband works 80 hours a week. We took time out of our day to go around to the people in Ariel Township to get signatures so that you could be presented to you. This man has been with the school for over 5 years. I, too, had a child who was having a problem with another kid. I didn't feel like he was getting the proper attention in the classroom that he should have gotten. He took, Mr. Williams took my kid every week into his classroom. And the 2 things that they had in common was I'm from a military family and Mr. Williams is in the military. And that was the only thing that my child and Mr. Williams had to go out of this whole bullying situation. Mr. Williams, I consider, along with Mr. Trout, is my neighbor because I live right across the street from the school. That my children walk to school every day. I stand on my doorstep, I watch them leave. They are my neighbor. Last year, a car blew up in the middle of the school. There was the gas pipes. I was taking my kindergartner to school when it happened. He came over to make sure that I was okay. He came over to my house to make sure my husband was okay. Do you know a principal who would do that? Walk off of school grounds to come to my house across the street to make sure that I was okay. My dog got loose from my house and went to Ariel School and got in the building looking for my son. Mr. Williams comes knocking on my door with my dog in his hand. This is a man who is the embodiment of America. He is the embodiment of everything that we stand for.
I can't help
our
myself.
Constitution stands for. He serves our country. He serves the right for us to be in this building to voice what we have concerns about. He stands for your right to sit here and listen to us and what we have to say. And to completely disregard that, the role model for our students, the role model that I want for my students, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a parent, I'm a sister, I'm a military brother, but it's the point. Why would you pass over that? These children have grown to have a relationship with this man that I have never seen any other teacher, no other administrator have with a student, ever. He takes these children and he generally understands, he generally cares. And now you're taking that away, especially in a time where these children have a hard time feeling safe at school.
I am Devil 317 Poplar Avenue, Blenheim. I will apologize. I wasn't making any degrading comment about, Jennifer's son. I recently suffered the loss of my mom, and that's why that date jumped out. I apologize if it offended you.
Okay.
Nobody's helping here. Nobody.
What do you?
I sit down with that man, and we have a good relation. He works with the parents work with him. He's got a good thing with the kids, and they work with him.
I understand that.
He deserves a promotion.
There were.
Why can't you go to work for him? Union Valley's got a principal. They're happy. They want the principal to stay.
You know, we already had 200 signatures.
I understand that. And when I.
It's simple. What you
Well, what would be simple is to promote all the people that apply. And we couldn't do that because we had 3 openings. And we appointed 3. And we had a process. And the great thing about Gloucester Township is this. You take ownership with Ariel School, right?
I had to.
Right.
I had no choice.
Okay, well, let me explain this to you. When my son went to Loring Fleming, I took ownership of Loring Fleming. I was the only male in whatever the organization was at the time, the PTA, because I get them all mixed up because everybody has a different name for it. Then my son, who would have went to Glen Landing School, the school got overcrowded, so we had to transfer children from Glen Landing to Lewis. It was my district where my son lived. My neighbors didn't talk to me for 2 years because how dare I take kids from Glen Landing and Angel McDermott. I'm sure there's many people that are involved with Lewis remember those days where the people came and screamed and said, how dare you take our kids from Glen Landing, how dare you, and put them in that school, Charles W. Lewis, how dare you? Do you understand that you're ruining our kids? You're ruining our kids' lives. But I did it, and it was my son that I transferred. My neighbors were livid with me, and they didn't talk to me for 2 years. But I did it because at the time, that was the right thing to do. And people didn't want the change. But I took ownership when I went to Lewis School. Just like every parent and every teacher and every administrator takes ownership with their school. Can I please finish? How about if I let me finish, and then you can talk. So you go to your school and you take ownership. Everybody here. I think we're all in the same boat. We all care about our school. If you go to Glendora and you ask the people what is the best elementary school in Gloucester Township, every one of those people are going to say, without a doubt, it's Glendora. You go to Union Valley, if I ask Union Valley, I ask Sandy here, what's the best school? Sandy.
Union Valley.
So that's taking ownership of your school. And I did that. I did that with my son and his school. However, I was elected to this Board of Education. I don't have I don't have the privilege of doing that any longer. I have to take ownership for the whole school district. I have to do what I feel, or better yet, what my people that we hired as our administrators think is best. Now,
The people are your boss, not the administrators. You're an elected official.
I just said that.
You said the administrators.
Right.
You work for the people, not the administrators. The people are speaking, and you're paying no attention.
Listen, let me
We're going to take ownership of the school board now. How's that sound?
That's fine. That's fine. You can. All you got to do is go out and vote. All you got to do is go out and vote.
Either that or I'll pass on a petition to have you all booted and we'll put new people in.
All
Pay
you have to
attention to the
do-
people.
Can I finish? Can I finish, please? Well, now, you take ownership with that. We hire, just like a owner of a football team or anything else, we hire a general manager, who's our superintendent. He hires a coach, who's our curriculum director. Those people are the people that we rely on to make decisions. They're the people that we rely on to make these decisions. We had a process where we interviewed people. We've interviewed so many people in the last 6 months, our heads are spinning because we had so many people leave at one time. And we've been, most of them retired, or were promoted to other districts. Our superintendent retired. Our curriculum director went to a different school district. Our special education person retired. Our personnel director got promoted. Just like people here, they get promoted. Aaron Rose, we didn't want to lose Aaron Rose. He got promoted. Well, I hope not. Well, he came back.
Because he loves this district. He loves these children.
Well, with all of those holes, why did you create a new position of supervisor of student services for the vice president of council?
It's not really a new position, but I don't want to get into that right now.
Well, why not? You opened the door and you talked about how all these people left. Now, how about you talk about to the people, excuse me, how about you talk about to the people because we are your boss? Not him as the supervisor or the coach or any of these people.
I didn't say he was.
You are an elected official. You are an elected official. You're an appointed bureaucrat. You're an elected official. You answer to every person in this room who lives here.
So do I.
You answer to every person in this room who lives
I hear
here.
you.
So answer the question. Why, with all these holes that we have to fill, and we're plucking teachers and administrators from other schools and upsetting the apple cart of families, that you decide you're going to create a new position of supervisor of student services, and the vice president of the township council gets that job, while 5 of the 9 of you are Democrats working in the township or have jobs that are based on what he did to give you those jobs, including Mr. Wade as the 3rd largest donor to the Democratic Party in this town. Can you explain that, yes or no?
I can definitely explain it.
Then please do.
I can definitely explain it. First of all,
And before you do explain that, hang on, one more thing. Does the supervisor of student services need a teaching certificate?
No.
No?
No.
Is that on the record?
I don't think he does.
He does not.
No.
That's your official answer. Mr.
You have to
Wade,
be
you
a
want to kick
school
it?
administrator.
He needs to be a school administrator.
Yes.
And what school is he from as an administrator?
Out to state college. You said.
That's not a school.
What is it? It's a
What's his
university.
certificate? So you're saying, hang on. You're saying,
Wait,
and
wait,
Mr.
wait a
Wade,
second.
please back him up. Hang on. You're saying that he does not need a certification to be a supervisor in a school district. Does the superintendent need to have a special certification to be a superintendent?
Yes.
Does our interim superintendent have that certification?
Yes.
Excellent. Does our new supervisor of student services have that certification?
No.
No.
Not be superintendent. No. No. Why wouldn't he?
There are a listed number of certifications in the state of New Jersey in Title 18A. That determines what the people need.
Go ahead, Sandy. I'm sorry. Can we please be quiet and let the lady speak?
My name is Nancy Sponigal. I'm the current,
Hi, Nancy.
5 York Court area. I'm the current Union Valley PTO president. I have Sandy official. They will not recognize staff, students, or parents. They are also not aware for custodial issues. The autism program has no supervisor. How will this program run effectively with 2 brand new people in administrative roles?
Did they not answer? Could you share your conversation with us? It's the...
Ex parte conversations are not allowed. It's a public meeting.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Any comments?
Please, go ahead.
Any comments to the question?
Before Sandy does finish, I just have a personal note.
Go ahead.
I have 3 students at Union Valley. 2 are in the autism program.
Right.
1 is in a regular classroom. I just feel as a parent that this district, no respect, Mr. Bilodeau, but I feel like it's being run now like a business and not like...
I'm officially going on the record, Sandy Casey, 22 Blue Spruce Drive, Ariel, New Jersey. As being a very, very proud parent of Union Valley for several years now, I personally just want to take this into a little bit of a different spin. With that, everything that everyone said, first of all, they come here tonight sacrificing. Everybody's made sacrifices to be here, correct? We all have. And we continue to do that. And you hope that the goal is at the best interest of every child that we all are in this room together tonight for. It's really difficult when I have a 4th grader and a 2nd grader for that matter, that I've had to unfortunately share news such as this, that just occurred in the last week. And before I even, I guess, go to that, I first want to take the time to say, definitely with regards to, Mr. Rose was phenomenal. Mr. Vahanka was phenomenal. I give so much credit and respect to both of them for making Union Valley what it became. With that being said, obviously, there's different paths that were taken. Mrs. Elwell, and she is here, and I want to acknowledge Mrs. Elwell. Mr. Connor in the back. I personally cannot say enough great things, because to take the school that just had such a massive turnover in terms of how it impacted every student at Union Valley last year when Mr. Rose left, it's remarkable that one woman and one man together, the synergy between both of them, can just change the opinions of everyone around, the perspective, and more importantly, looking at the goals at hand, which are to enrich the child's future, right? That's what our goals should be, together. And when decisions like this are made, where it literally is impacting, and it may not be that your child is going to Union Valley, or Lily, or Lauren Fleming, whatever it may be, put yourself in our shoes as a taxpayer, but more importantly, as a proud parent of Union Valley. These teachers work so hard. The faculty, every single person, day in and day out, they come in there with the uncertainty of not having contracts signed, with a smile on their face. And the dedication and the relationships and the interactions with every single child that's in every room is unbelievable. So my question, I guess, to this whole board is, what do you do when you ask your second grader? And I say to my son, what is it about Union Valley that you really like? If, somebody outside of the family or friends that doesn't attend Union Valley, what is it about it? What would you say? Oh, Mom, it's so safe, and everybody's so nice, and I learned so much, Mom. And what is it exactly, though, that you really do like about Union Valley? Mom, I love Mrs. Elwell. I love Mr. Connor, and I love the teachers. I learned so much, and they're always just so patient, and they always are just smiling at us, Mom. And Mom, I don't want to forget the secretaries too, Mom. So that's just taking one perspective from a second grader. That's how innocent they are in all this. And that's what we're supposed to be here tonight for, is making and providing whatever we possibly can together as a team, a unified front, to say, this is what our future holds for these children, right? This is the future of our state. This is the future of our country. And it's the pinnacle of everything for our children is education. It starts right here in this room. And for one moment, if everybody just thinks, well, these parents are just here, they're just talking, they're, yeah, of course they're passionate about their school. We're passionate about our future of this country, right? So how do you explain to a second grader who now just had unfortunately, at a vulnerable age that's only, a year older than what happened in Connecticut, and that was his first words out of his mouth. It's safe, Mom. It's safe. I feel so comfortable. I know as soon as I walk through the doors that somebody's there, and I know that everyone's going to take good care of us, Mom. Well, how do I explain this after they just went through all this a year ago, less than a year ago, and now here we are again, and it's to me even worse because now we're going down this road twice. And how is there any job security for any of the faculty in this room? Because maybe they wake up every morning and say, wow, maybe I'll be just moving to the other school within the district. So how do we all get on the same page as really looking at the best interests of our kids and proving that there is stability through all this? There's enough changes around us that we have no control over. This is something that we should have control over, is to make sure that we're providing the best possible education at hand for each and every child. And it should not matter what the background is. It shouldn't even matter what title school it is. We all should be on the same page. And a comment was made not too, earlier in the night, in saying or referencing, well, we know we need to improve our, the ASK scores, and we need to improve all that. Well, sure we do, right? Absolutely. We have to be evaluated on something, right? Well, how does anyone, I guess, and if somebody can answer this, I'm all ears. How do you think that we're going to benefit by improving those scores by doing it halfway through a school year? And I am all about people, certainly moving up in their professions. People that are dedicated, like every single person that is a part of a faculty at any of these local schools. They, if that's what they strive to do, I'm going to stand behind that 100%. But with that, why can't we be realistic? That, okay, if we have to make certain moves, let's then just think about the kids, the impact of the kids. Because writing it on paper and saying this is what we're going to execute and this is what, is going to be at the end of all this, that's what's going to be great. That's going to great and our district's just going to flourish. Well, unfortunately, we're losing perspective on what's important for those kids. They're helpless. They're looking for direction. And more importantly, they're looking for role models. So if I, as a parent, am challenged to even answer my son as to now how we're going to go ahead and certainly pull apart what everything has been built upon, every ounce of effort from Mr. Connor, every ounce of effort is in scope, and I appreciate that, and I honestly respect it, because I do want the best for our kids. But with that, we can't lose sight that there's kids here. So how do I explain to my daughter? How do I make them feel safe in an environment that is just so toxic? Any given moment you could turn the news on and find something that's horrible going on. So how do we make them feel safe when they're now in about 2 weeks going to walk through those front doors of Union Valley and basically not feel like they have any confidence? They're going to feel uncomfortable. They're going to then start to regress, right? It's also going to have an effect and transfer onto the faculty. How could it not? These are their kids that they love, day in and day out. They could do anything for them, right? So now we have the trickle effect, and I come back to the original question. Who does this benefit? How is this benefiting halfway through a school year? For me, I have the hardest time, and I'm an open-minded person, and I see things from all different perspectives, because I do see the good in each and every one of you. I honestly do. But then it has to be further than that. It has to come out in a way that, honestly, the kids see it, that these changes are so great and impactful to them that it's going to make just do wonders for them. It's not going to do wonders for them. It's not. So how do we reinstill security back to these children? And of course, I'm biased to Union Valley right now because we just went through this a year ago. And for me, the path of least resistance, regardless of what the decisions are and what the criteria was to, certainly promote within and do all that great stuff, to me, and I'm just thinking the simplicity of it, which I know none of this is simple. I understand that. Wholeheartedly, I do. However, let's just make the best decisions that we can with what we're given at a time where security is an issue. Right? So with that, if we have an assistant principal at Mullen that has an opening to be promoted and clearly is going to be promoted, it brings back to somebody else that mentioned tonight. Why not until the end of June just push him up into the principal position? He's here a year and a half, I think, and if I'm mistaken, I apologize, okay? But that's a year and a half where at least he knows the kids here. He's walking straight into Union Valley, where he's not going to know one child, he's not going to know any faculty, and certainly not going to feel real good if he sits in on any conferences. So I just don't understand, again, where does this benefit the kids? And I don't know how anybody's supposed to work towards the common goal that we're supposed to have when you're ripping apart everything that's been given so much, from everyone to make that achievable. I mean, as Nancy Sponicle said, we're both part of the PTO. We wouldn't be part of the PTO if we didn't want to make that difference as well. So all I'm asking you is to really walk in the shoes of a second and a fourth grader or any elementary school student at this point and see, or maybe ask them what they want to see. And I can guarantee it's going to be pretty much along those lines. And with that, I know we're not going to get any immediate answers tonight. All that I ask for is reconsideration. That if this is what we're going to do, can't we just find a way to postpone this until June. Because then there's a transition. There's a transition period. And that is the transition period for every person that's employed by a school, right? Throughout the summer, they're preparing, they're getting ready. They don't know their kids when they walk in, right? Whether it's an aide, it's a teacher, when they walk in September. Well, guess what? That is the best time to start with a new principal, a new assistant. Rather than to go into office doors where nobody has any idea what's going on. You know, you can't ask the principal, he's still trying to get things together. You can't ask the assistant, and you certainly can't go to a secretary either. So it's really hard to, and harsh, I think, to put it upon like Mrs. Annette Covenant, who's taking on 50 million hats right now, or Mrs. Langerby, all the people that matter, each and every person, from Miss Russell to, I can name everyone through Union Valley, and I'm proud of every one of them.
Can we keep it down, please? Thank you.
So on that note, I just want that. That's all I think anybody would want in this room, is just to consider what's best for the kids. Business is business, and that's how we operate, and this is our country to achieve great wealth through business. But we can't sacrifice what the future is of this country and of the state, which starts with the kids. And I have one more comment. If I may, excuse me for 1 second.
1 second, please.
Thank you. I just want to take a moment because this is definitely, it should be. If you're not standing already at Union Valley as a faculty member, Ms. Elwell, Mr. Khan, please stand real quick, please, on behalf of every parent that we stand for tonight. I honestly thank you. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you. And thank you for your time.
I forgot what I was going to say. Hi, my name is Trudy McGowan. I'm a resident of Gloucester Township, 721 Cotswold, and I've also been an educator in Gloucester Township for 28 years. I've been in special education for 28 years. And in those 28 years, I've been at 4 elementary schools. So, if somebody believes in change, it's me. Change is hard. It is so hard. I've gone to 4 elementary schools. I've worked with all different principals, among the best, Mr. Capone, Mrs. Elwell, amazing administrators. My passion has always been special education because I'm an out-of-the-box thinker. So like I said, I understand change is hard, but I also believe change is necessary. But I have to tell you, the last change I requested, some of the requests, most of the changes have been requested my own because I just like to keep on top of my game and be a part of the township. And anyway, the last few months I've been assigned to Lilly School. Now, I don't know if any of you recently walked down the halls of J.W. Lilly School. Because in my 28 years, I have never seen a school like this school. First of all, I was really nervous, okay, because, like I said, change is hard. And I'm a veteran, you know, so as you get older, change is a little harder. The enthusiasm in that school is unlike anything I've ever seen before. But the thing that really is confusing to me is the population at that school. Have you looked at the population of these schools and how this administrator is going to able to work with that difficult population? And like I said, they have no constants in their lives. Not even the teacher they have this year. They have the teacher for what, 9, 10 months? And then next year they have another teacher, so the teacher's not even constant. But Mr. Holmes is always there at buses, lunchtime, buses after school, high fives down the hall. And I'm telling you once again, this population, when I get to the school, I was nervous. Because this is, some of this is like, some of these youth are like inner city. I was a little nervous. He's going down the hallway, high-fiving. Hey, how you doing? But it's not that too. It's also, as you said, discipline with dignity. Because you have a responsibility to yourself and to others. So I am just imploring you to think, please think what you're doing to these children that need this constant in their lives. They need it. One more thing you're going to pull out from them. One more person that's going to leave them, as they have had in their lives already. And you have no idea the damage that you will do.
Janet Barnes, 36 Essex Ariel. I am a mother of 5. 3 of my kids go to Ariel. Mr. Williams is an amazing assistant principal. He is there every morning with the kids. My kids love him. Mr. Tro is moving on. The kids...
A few things that I want to talk about. First off, there's been a whole lot of love for Tracy and a whole lot of love for Rob tonight, and for Luane. But I also want to just point out that there's another excellent person in this district that has been loyal in this district for many, many years, and that's Sue Pogozelski.
Yeah.
John, let me say this to you. I'll give you my apologies because you talked about all the changes. I'm one of those that left in August. I know I put you to bind as far as that goes, so I apologize for doing that to you and putting you in this position. But I will say this. In the position I had, and most of you know, I was probably in all 11 schools as much, if not more than anybody else. So I got to see very intimately the goings on in the schools all the time. The relationship between Trish Ferrier and Sue Pogozelski was truly one of a co-principalship. They really ran something there that was wonderful and great. Okay? I really think it's a sad day when we look at someone that has been a loyal person to this district for that many years, that has such a wonderful skill set in the elementary setting, that she did not get a chance. Now I know you're not going to make that, make a change. I just wanted to say that she is a wonderful person who should have been given an opportunity to do that. Okay? That being said, I have a couple of other questions. I know you hired Aaron back. Okay? My question regarding that is this. We operate here under a contract, okay, and being a former member of the PSA in Gloucester Township. I would like to know why Aaron Rose is going to be hired at a salary of $107,000, because that salary puts him higher than a middle school principal that has been serving this district for 6 years. Now, there's also in that contract has always been a stipend, additional monies paid to middle school principals because of the additional night duties. So I need to know why he's being brought back. He's been a principal for less than a year, and a principal in this district who has been loyal for 6 years is making less money than Aaron Rose.
We're bringing him back at approximately what he's making in Linden. That's the way it is. When you leave a school district and you go to another school district, it's very seldom that you don't get a raise or you ask for a raise. But we're basically bringing him back at the same that he's making at Lindenwood.
Well, I got to tell you,
But you can't pay those
well, in a situation where there's not a lot of happiness going on, I can tell you right now, that's not a good decision for morale. You've made the decision, that's your decision to make, but I just think that looking at the great job that Mr. Schulte has done at Glen Landing, what Mr. Otten has done, the fact that they are middle school principals here, who shouldn't make more than the elementary based on that stipend, the fact that you're choosing to hire him back here, less than 1 year's experience as a principal, I think it's a bad decision, and that's my opinion on that.
Yeah. All right.
You do a phenomenal job. But I myself am also a parent of 2 special education children. My children have gone to this district, and they are still here. There are no words that I could say to thank you. But I am here because I am a parent who cares. Truly, truly cares. So I am here for 2 reasons. Because I want to make sure that our kids get the best education that they could possibly get. And for no other reason. So, for those of you that think that there isn't a parent and a parent doesn't speak, I'm here to tell you I am.
Go ahead.
Stacy Jones, 1 Cinnamon Court. As you guys know, I had star student.
Parents too, and two.
Okay.
I would like to know that.
No problem. Sorry.
Here to four, over here.
We knew who the 3 selections were, Dan, and we knew that this timing was difficult. And it was really because of the momentum and pulling principals, and eventually the dominoes would have to fall. We discussed it as a group, and we did not want to wait 5 months because we thought that making these adjustments, albeit difficult from the audience here tonight, we didn't want to wait 5 months because we thought these groups, these teams could improve the instruction of students immediately, not waiting.
Did you hear that list he just read? Did you hear the list he just read?
I heard the
I just
choose.
want to make sure everybody heard it.
I heard it the first time.
Okay.
And so that was the reason. Didn't want to wait 5 months. I mean, we could hire them, pause, and wait, and then transition in June, which is always the way it's been done.
What's 5 months more for those students? You've been able to run, everything has been running, and I apologize for speaking out of turn, but you've managed to have these gaps and these breaks for these past 5 months. Why can't we finish out the year? I think that at least there's some type of compromise here. We get it, changes are going to be made. We all acknowledge that, and yes, there are going to be changes that we don't like, but give us till June. At least meet us halfway with this. Give us till the end.
And one last thing is that there's no way, that with so much change at Choose Elementary School, there's no way that the kids would have been able to be successful if it wasn't for the staff that held it together all these years. Give it up.
I can't believe I'm going to speak because I really actually helped someone that spoke earlier. Because it's totally out of character for me to actually stand up here and say, but as I sit here, I'm 8, Don Conti, 86 Sturbridge Drive, Ariel, New Jersey, and I do not have any children. However, I have been in this district as a loyalty, and that's what I want to talk about is loyalty. Part of the reason I came, that's all I ever wanted to do. And I was proud to say that I worked in Gloucester Township because they were loyal, and I was loyal to them. I have worked at Lilly School, and I've been loyal to them. And I want to know why we're not considering the loyalty of these vice principals. And no disrespect to the person that you chose to go as principal to Union Valley, but he doesn't have that. Mr. Holmes has given 7.5 years as a vice principal, 23 years in education in Gloucester Township. That was something that Gloucester Township was built on. If you worked hard and you were loyal to this district, you moved up. Is there something they're doing wrong? Obviously, Mr. Williams at Ariel School. Has he done something wrong? Has Sue Kogalowski, who I've worked on countless committees with, who I think is fabulous, has been loyal to this district. She's worked here again for 23 years and has been a vice principal. What happened to that loyalty? I understand that people interview, but there are also people that are poor interviewers. There are teachers that have been fabulous teachers, but they didn't make it the first couple rounds because they weren't good at interviewing. These people have been loyal. What happened to that same Gloucester Township that took pride in that loyalty? Pride, and I
01113-19.
Vote on that.
Vote on that, please.
Mrs. Coyle?
Yes.
Mr. Fontenez?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilch? Yes. Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mrs. Lalli?
Yes.
Mr. Lalli?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese? Yes. Mrs. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Then the original motion made by Alan and seconded by Andy should reflect the fact that 113-19 is not part of that pressure.
Okay. Any questions? There's no questions. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Coyle? Yes. Mr. Fontenez?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilch?
Yes.
Mr. Mr. Gunn?
Yes.
Mr. Lalli?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Mrs. Reed? Yes. Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes. Mr. Fernandez, you want to take maintenance and transportation? Sorry, Will.
The motion that resolution 011321 be adopted.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Fernandez, second by Mrs. Gilch.
What are they voting on?
Questions? There's no questions. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Coyle?
Yes.
Mr. Fontenot?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilch?
Yes.
Mr. Gunn? Mr. Lalli?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese? Yes. Mrs. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes. Mr. Gunn, you want to take buildings and grounds, please?
Mr. President, I'll move 0113-22, 0113-234 approved.
2-3. 22 and 20.
22 and 23.
Motion by Mr. Gunn. Second by Mrs. Coyle. Any questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there, this contract, or this appointment, I guess it is it a time limit on it? Is it an annual? Will we be renewing this every year? Will it come up every year? Or will it be bid every year?
That's a good question. I apologize, it's not here. It should list from February 1st through January 31st, 2014.
So can we just amend the?
Let's amend the resolution to reflect those dates. That's a good point, Mrs. Reed.
February 1st, January.
It was in the RFQ.
Well, I'll make those amendments, Mr. President.
So it's February 1st to 2000, January 31st, 2014?
Yes.
Yes. Would that be reflected? If there's no other questions, roll call, please.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I have another question.
Right.
On dash 23,
Yes?
the parking lot at Lewis Middle School,
Yes?
this is two, I'm sorry. Are we, I just want to understand, are we definitely doing the parking lot, or you're doing the bid to see if we're doing the parking lot at Lewis? Because
This is to prepare plans and specifications
okay.
with which to proceed in installing a new parking lot this summer. But we have approval from the Department of Education, Office of School Facilities to do the project. We just don't have the formal plans and to bring up the specification to advertise it. So that's always done to put the district in a position to actually install one.
Any other questions? If not, roll call, please.
Mrs. Coyle?
Yes.
Mr. Fontenot?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilch?
Yes.
Mr. Gunn?
Yes.
Mr. Lalli?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Mrs. Reed?
Is that abstain?
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
And Mr. Collins?
Yes. Mr. Lau, you want to take supply and purchasing, please?
In form of a motion for the adoption of resolutions 011324 and 26 be adopted.
Second. Motion by Mr. Lau, second by Mr. Carr. Questions on the motions? If there's no questions, roll call, please.
Mrs. Coyle?
Yes.
Mr. Fontenot?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilch?
Yes.
Mr. Gunn?
Yes.
Mr. Lalli?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese? Yes. Mrs. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes. Mrs. Reed, you want to take instruction and special services?
Sure. In the form of a motion that resolution 0113-27 through 0113-30 be adopted.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Reed, seconded by Mrs. Gilch. Questions? If there are no questions, roll call, please.
Mrs. Coyle?
Yes.
Mr. Fontenot?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilch?
Yes.
Mr. Gunn?
Yes.
Mr. Lalli?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Mrs. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes. Before we get to personnel, I have a few comments to make. First, We did listen to the people here tonight in the audience. Not sure everybody will be happy with our voting or the measures we have taken, but we did listen, and we do listen. And I know a lot of you stood up here tonight, some of you finding it very difficult to speak, and have stated your case. And you assured us how much you care and how much the people at your schools mean to you. And once again, I will state that the people sitting up here care wholeheartedly about your schools and about your students and about the people that work there. We're all up here doing this for the right reasons. So we will go through the process of personnel, and we will have some changes. And like I said, hopefully people understand how the process works. It was a very difficult process in picking vice principals, or principals, excuse me. And it's never easy. And we have a lot of good candidates, and everybody thinks their candidate is the best candidate. And they should. They should. Just like I said before, they take ownership. And just like I said before, we take ownership in the whole district. And for us to make decisions, sometimes it's very, very difficult for us, and we don't always agree. But we don't make these decisions lightly. You've seen people speak tonight. You've seen several people speak. You've seen Mrs. Coyle, and you see how passionate they are about this school district. Before we move on, do you want to say anything about this? Okay. Thank you. So we will go to personnel, and Mr. Carr, can you please take personnel?
Sure. In the form of motion that resolutions 113-31 through 113-37 be adopted with the following changes. On 31, Patrick McCarthy, principal, will go to Ariel School. On 113-34, Tracy Elwell, Rob Holmes, and Rebecca Tierney will be removed from the list, from the transfer list.
We have another change. I'm sorry, go ahead. Not as drastic.
On item 35, which is employee resignations, can we please add 2 additional names? Mr. Capone gave me these this evening. I'd like to add the name of Janine Vincent, position, which is a 101 aide, location Loring Fleming. The effective date will be the 14th of February 2013. Another resignation to add to the list, Alexander Morales, a 101 aide at Charles W. Lewis School. The effective date is the 8th of February 2013.
Thank you. We have a motion by Mr. Carr. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Gilch. Motion by Mr. Carr. Any questions on the motion? If not, can I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Coyle?
Yes.
Mr. Fontanez?
Vote abstain on resolution 0113-31. Yes, vote yes.
Mrs. Gilch?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Lalli?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Mrs. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes. We have a report of the solicitor.
I was asked to comment to the folks that are out here. The statement that the board did not meet on January 7th is incorrect. We had a conversation with your union representative. At the meeting that we had in November, it was decided that we were going to go into fact-finding. When the board had to do their reorganization agenda, we wanted to do it on January 7th. Request was made as to what time the fact-finding would start. And at that time, it was discussed that if we were going to have a formal fact-finding, that the association needed to have their representative present who was going to present their formal thing and wouldn't be ready for the January 7th date. On the basis of that, we then asked, when would you be ready for the date? And the date that we were given, the earliest date that we were given, is the end of March. So that's the factual story on the January 7th date.
Okay. Any old business? Any new business? We have a second portion of the public comment. If anybody has anything to say about anything?
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
You got it.
Yes, sir. Stand up and state your name, please.
John Schmidt, Gloucester City, New
Excuse me,
Jersey.
what was it?
John Schmidt, Gloucester City, New Jersey. Good evening to everyone. Mr. Lalli, good evening, sir. How are you? Okay, appreciate it if you can listen to me when I get up and speak, because I pay attention tonight. Okay.
I'm listening.
Great. Great. Thank you. I have a number of questions tonight, and it is about this Board of Education. It is governmental. Have any of you heard of Gloucester Township Citizens for Government before? Yes. What is it?
It's something to do with politics.
What is it? It's a PAC. Who's the treasurer of that PAC?
I am.
Have any professionals of the school district donated to that PAC?
Excuse me?
Have any professionals of this school district donated to that PAC?
There are monthly reports filed with the state. If you have any questions regarding those reports, they're online. You certainly can look them up.
Have you ever heard of Gloucester Township Parents for Educational Excellence?
No.
Would you be surprised if I told you it was another PAC set up in October of 2012? None of you have ever heard of it.
I asked a question, I said I did not.
Ms. Coyle, have you ever heard of it?
I have heard of it.
Did your PAC ever give money to them or receive money from them?
Again, those reports,
Yes or no?
reports are filed online. If you would like to see them, I'm sure.
We both know the answer. Will you answer the question, Ms. Coyle? Yes or no?
I did answer the question.
Well, no, she didn't. She didn't say yes or no. She said I could go online. I know what's online.
Okay, well then, you
I'm
know the
asking her
answer.
as a public official, yes or no in public, because it's my only time to question her. Ms. Coyle, the PAC that you're treasurer of, has it ever given money, paid money to Pronto Printing?
Mr. Schmidt, again, the reports are filed online.
Again, Ms. Coyle, yes or no?
And she's not on the trial.
Excuse me. Wait,
This ain't a trial.
What does this have to do with the school board? That's a question for you. So how about you answer that for me?
You don't know?
No. Do you know?
Oh, I know.
Then you would tell us?
I'm going to get that.
You look it up online.
I'm going to get that.
Okay.
No, you don't have to look online. In reviewing the ELAC reports of this PAC, the Pronto Printing, it appears that it was given for signs for the local Board of Education race, but it mentions no EFO that it was donated to. So I have a question for the elected officials who were just sworn in at the last year reorg meeting. Did you ever receive any money from these PACs?
What was the question?
For the board members who ran last year, did you ever receive any money from one of these PACs or did one of these PACs ever pay for any lawn signs that were put up around the township?
All I can, I guess I'm part of that question, and no one ever received any money. I would have no idea who paid for what signs for anything, because anybody can buy signs for anything. So I hope that answers your question.
What I'm trying to find out, and it looks like it might be, but the ELEC reports are missing information, and that's why I'm asking. Did a board member who sits on an executive board of a PAC donate money to colleges? That's what I'm trying to find out.
I have no idea, Mr. Schmidt.
Ms. Coyle, I don't mean to pick on you tonight. Do you work for David Carliner? David Carliner is the solicitor for Gloucester Township. He's appointed solicitor by the township government.
Well, let me clarify. I work for the Township of Gloucester.
This is Mr. Carliner's secretary.
And Mr. Carliner's assistant.
So, you work for the township. How were you appointed to your position in the township?
I don't see the relevance in my employer.
Oh, I do. You were appointed, you were hired by the township government.
You know,
You're an executive board.
to the extent, you're asking personal questions.
Oh, no.
She ran for election, she was elected to the election. When she ran for election, I think it was clear to everybody who she worked for.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Wade.
But
here's my issue.
What's your objection?
Here's my issue. If someone who works for the township, someone who works for Mr. Carter, these questions about PAC, the issue involving pay to play, which we know there's previous involvement, but I won't go down the list right now. We know that the PAC that she is treasurer of donated money to EFO, the Township Council, last round. Yet you voted for Mr. Mercado.
No, I abstained from Mr. Mercado.
You did.
Yes, I did.
I heard that it was an 8-1 vote. Did you have any influence over the vote?
I abstained.
Did you discuss the position with any of your board members? Did you discuss the position with any of your board members?
My position?
No, Mr. Mercado said he was hired for.
I was involved in the interview process just like anyone else on this board was.
Okay, thank you. That's my question. Mr. Carter, did you vote for Mr. Mercado?
Yes, I did.
Okay, well, what is your connection to the Democratic Party, Mr. Carter?
President of the Democratic Club.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions?
I voted for Mr. Mercado.
What's that?
I said I voted for Orlando because he was our best candidate.
Okay. Did you get that?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have a comment or anything? Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna wait here all night.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Well, I'm a parent of an eighth grade student.
Sure.
And my comment is about the teacher's contracts. I just found out that they were not satisfied and that come February 1st, possibly there might be some activities dropped for our students. Is that correct?
You know more than we do.
Okay. The spring concerts and drama and the 8th grade dance.
Like I said.
Stony Park. All these activities that my other daughter went to in 8th grade are now being cut because of the contracts aren't being satisfied.
We haven't heard anything official of that nature whatsoever. I'll be honest with you.
I think there was, I heard that there was a letter that went out to the president of the the homeschool board.
From us?
No.
If the home and school sent that out, they sent that out by themselves too. to their people.
No, I think it was sent to them. The president of, it was sent to the board.
Do you, to the board?
Yeah, to the HSS.
To the HSA board?
Yes.
Do you know where the letter was originated from? Because we do not have any copies of any letters that were sent to the HSA boards.
I don't, well, this is from, just speaking with some friends, they said that a lot of things are going to be cut because the teachers are now without a contract or they're not satisfied. And now they're working from 2 to, from 7:30 to 2:30, that's it, so like going to work. And all the extracurricular activities that the teachers were doing with the children are now going to be cut out. That's not going to happen.
I didn't say it's not going to happen. You're the first one that's brought that to
No,
my
I'm
attention.
asking,
We
I don't know.
don't know anything of that nature.
It's the
Like,
first
we've
I've
never
heard of
gotten a
that.
letter. This is the first I'm hearing of it. But can I make a comment on that, since we're on that topic? No disrespect to any teacher that's sitting out here, because I know you all do a wonderful job. And I thank you. My kids came through this district. They've done extremely well. And no disrespect to anybody. But my problem is, you're not hurting us. You're not hurting the board. You're not hurting administrators by doing any type of job action. You're hurting these children. And to me, that's why you're here as a teacher, to help these children. I understand you want a contract, and I understand we need to come to a consensus, but this has really been bothering me because you're not hurting us. You're not hurting administration. You're not taking anything away from us. You're taking it away from your children that you're teaching, that you want to do well. And that, I just had to say it because it really bothers me. And no disrespect to any teacher in this room, because you all do an absolute phenomenal job. But what bothers me is that you're not hurting me. You're not hurting any other person up here sitting on this board. You're hurting those children by not staying after school, by not doing a dance, by not doing, if that's true. I don't know if that's not true. But that's what bothers me. And no disrespect to any teacher out there, because you do a wonderful job. But you're here for the kids, and if that's your reason you're here, then support those children. That's all I'm asking. But did you, I don't know if you just heard Mr. Wade, we did not stop that negotiation. We did not stop that. That was not us that canceled that.
And now we have to wait.
And now we have to wait 2 months. That was not us.
Excuse me, what's your name?
My name's Tracy Schleier.
What is it?
Tracy Schleier.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry.
I just feel like there needs to be more communication between the board and the teachers. If we could get something done, maybe change the date sooner. I don't know. I don't want to see my kid go without.
I agree.
pay a lot
And
of
I
taxes
agree, and
like
I agree with
everybody
you
else.
too, and that's why I
these
just
teachers
made
have
the
to
statement
say
that I made.
The teachers are phenomenal.
They are, and I will
They
not,
say
I will
after-
not dispute that.
When their family, their husband and their kids are home eating at 6 o'clock, they're at school with my kid, doing drama and everything.
And I do not dispute that. I totally agree with you, and I'm not disputing that. But what I'm saying is, no, I'm not blaming it on that. I'm saying that if these job actions do take place, that's all I'm saying. They're not hurting us. They're not hurting administrators. They're not hurting principals. They're hurting the children. That's my personal opinion. And
What, can I ask why the negotiations? What's with?
I thought he explained, like, he tried to go. She wasn't. Oh, you weren't here when he said that? About the fact finding?
Yes, no, my question was, is the negotiations. Where are we at this time?
We're in fact finding.
We reached an impasse. We had a mediator come for a couple sessions. We were not able to close the gap between the salaries requested and the salaries that the board was prepared to pay. And that's where we are.
Would you be willing to meet before the fact finding again?
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Can we set a date?
Well, that would have to be your negotiating team.
I just wanted to ask if it was okay for us to have a date.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, Mr. Bilodeau reached out to me today. I tried to get a hold of Donna Maurer late this afternoon. I wasn't able to get a hold of Donna, but we would be willing to meet again and try to discuss it. But meeting also entails the parties compromising on some situations. And part of the difficulty that we have is we haven't been able to bridge that gap.
Angel, go ahead.
I would just like to clarify the issue of January 7th, because what...
I've got emails, Angel.
Well,
Be careful, I've got emails.
Really? What you are saying was that we said to cancel it. What we heard, what we were told, was that you wanted to proceed with the reorganization, and that was set for 7 o'clock. 4 p.m. to 7 o'clock is not enough time to do a formal fact-finding. We were also told, yes, for us to gather all of our facts, we would not. But the typical first step of fact-finding is to sit all the parties down in a different fashion. And we have never been to this stage. In my 16 years as president, my 6 years as negotiations chair before that, we have never reached this stage. This is new to all of us. But the first step of this process is to sit down to a more intensive mediation session. Even that would not have been able to be accomplished in the 3 hours. That is why it was postponed. We were never given the choice for a different date. In terms of what I learned later was the board, and I learned this through Mr. Bilodeau, would have been willing to change their reorg. They had to have reorg by January 10th. That option was never given to us that we could still meet.
Were you prepared to do fact-finding on January 7th? The answer is no.
A formal hearing? No, but were we prepared to sit back down?
We were supposed to. The last time we met, that's where we were going. It was agreed between the parties. That was a date established for it. I mean, that's where we were.
Then there's faulty understanding of the process.
And the mediator that we have is the same person that's going to do the fact-finding by mutual agreement between the parties. So where were we going to go if we didn't have a presentation at that time? Listen, I've been doing negotiations for a long time with Gloucester Township too, and I'm going to tell you that over the past several years, the past 5 or 6 negotiations, which span 3 years, they have been able to be resolved quicker than this. Unfortunately, we're in a situation where we have a 2% cap. We have restrictions on us now, the likes of which we've never had before. So we came to the table and said, we have certain restrictions and we need to operate within those restrictions. You folks didn't take that position.
You did not even budget, the board did not even budget to the 2% cap it was allowed by law. I sat at the budget hearing and it did not even go anywhere near 2%.
You want to settle the contract for 2%?
As a taxpayer, I understand your tone to all of us.
Well, because I'm a little frustrated because we're hearing this now. The reality is you're not willing to settle for 2%. You've told us that.
There are other districts that have settled for 3.5%.
And there's a lot of districts that have settled for 2%.
And how are they circumventing the 2% cap?
There are a lot of...
They're settling for 3.5, how are they circumventing the 2% cap? It's so hard.
A lot of places not hiring principals, are hiring out in their early meetings.
You're the vice president of principal.
Well, I'm not going to discuss our negotiations, but that's right.
I think that Mrs. Schmoyer and the teacher over here was accurate. Angel and I were having a civil conversation recently, and she said to me, you know, what's up with the March 22nd thing? I said, I don't know, what is up with the March 22nd thing? So she said, you think that we could have some small group discussions and kind of rekindle that rather than waiting around for 2 months. I thought it was a great idea. And so I intended to speak, and I told you last week, Angel, I talked to Mr. Wade. Last week was a little busy with principal stuff, and so I was unable to speak to him until today, but I think that communication is the key word, and if we can just begin, rather than just have such a harsh light switch on, light switch off with negotiations, there's got to be some ground we can begin to incrementally gain. So when we get to the 22nd, hopefully it won't go that long, you've gotten somewhere. So I would be encouraged if Donna Mauer and Mr. Wade had that conversation so we could have such a meeting.
We don't have any problems with setting that up.
Okay. Does anyone else have, yes, sir. Would you state your name, please?
My name is Andrew Lalli. One thing, I talked to the mayor and stuff like that. I get no answers from him, but I'm going to talk.
Excuse me?
To the school, but the mayor, I talked to the mayor.
I apologize, I didn't hear you, sir. I didn't hear you.
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll come up closer and get louder. Okay, I've talked to the mayor several times about issues about air quality in our schools. I know this school's pretty fairly new. It's all clean enough, but we got to start checking out our other schools. Choose Lane, Lauren Fleming. What's the cross street from Lauren Fleming? Not on my head. Glen Landing. I had last year, they had a big rainstorm and water was getting in a couple classrooms and stuff like that. You know, we got some mold problems and issues right there. Everybody wants to pass the buck, but can we get air quality reports in all of our schools, please? I mean, you know, I've sent letters to the administrator, I've sent letters, and they say, oh, we did a study in 2006. Well, we're in the year 2013. You know, and it's getting to the point where, yeah, the teachers are looking for a contract. We're all like, oh, security, security, but we're not even looking at the health of our schools. They're aging. Water's getting in. Maintenance departments. I went into school the other day for a play, went in the bathrooms. I was a disgrace. Disgrace while I walked into. Okay, and then I come in here today as a citizen. I come in to check out this school. It's a pretty nice school. I try to go to the bathroom, and the guy I'm actually talking to that's walking around went, no, I'm not against Spanish-speaking individual, but I speak English. Okay, and I needed to go, and I almost peed myself. I spent a lot of money in taxes here, and I don't need to be going to the bathroom by myself when the guy should be listening and open up the door, and he can't understand what I'm saying.
Well,
so maybe I have to get more involved in all these schools, and maybe we'll get a citizens committee, and we'll have a go around and talk around to a lot of schools and see what's actually going on in these schools. Have a nice night.
Well, one thing I will say, Mr. Gladden, is there's probably not a school district, and I think most of the teachers will attest to that we've had a roofing project that I don't know of any school district anywhere in the state of New Jersey that's had the proactive roofing projects that we have had in this school district. We have replaced, how many now? Over the last 7 roofs in the last probably like 5 years. And we've had that, and we've done it without going out for a referendum. We've done it with foresight and putting money aside and addressing any problems with water leakage.
Is there a problem with the contract guys that you're hiring?
No.
Because I saw people up on Glen Landing School about a couple years ago, probably say 2009. And if it's leaking from this year, if they're still leaking there and there's still a problem there, there's a problem with the shoddy work that's being done in these schools too.
No, we'd have no problem.
Mr. Gladden, on the air quality, there are several staff members, they're not all teachers, but when there is an issue with air quality, the facility supervisor has consistently used the same environmental science. We go to Camden County, and we have the same group come out, and I know that educators in different buildings who have, I don't want to say made a complaint, but made an issue, we answer each one of them. We get a report of each one, including Glen Landing School.
Okay, can I ask you a question? Where's the report? I've been asking for this report for 3 years.
We have them in the office of the school, in our facilities office, Mr. Umar.
So why hasn't anybody informed me that it was right there?
This is the first request I'm hearing from you.
First request I'm hearing from you.
Okay.
Anyone else have anything to say? Yes, ma'am.
Deborah Hines, 12th grade level circle.
Sure.
I'm a parent in this district and an educator in another district. I've been sitting here for almost 4 hours this evening, and I find it personally exhausting what's going on here. I really take issue with your response to this poor woman who's hoping her 8th grade student has opportunities that her other children have had. And you have come to expect your staff, your teachers, to give 250%. And we have heard over and over again the parent testimonies of how giving and wonderful these teachers are.
and how they stay after school way past their time or sacrifice their time with their children. And I really take issue with, I mean, you have your opinion, but I would like to counter with mine as a parent and an educator, that if for some reason these contract negotiations could have gone a lot smoother. I've been through them in another school district. And don't let anyone that's not educating your child mislead you, that if they start to give what they're supposed to give and contractually give, and they pull back, it's not breaking, it's breaking their heart inside. They would prefer to have a contract and be treated with dignity and respect that they deserve for the time that they give to educate your children. So I am just saying that I take issue that if you decide that there are some things that these teachers aren't doing, it's difficult for them not to do. I don't even know if there's one parent like this classroom, in this building, but it's like, but don't mistake them for not caring for your children, because it is crushing them to be lowered down to the level where they are treated as minimally as possible. If they can hire a principal, what I've heard this evening, for some reason, some extra exorbitant amount of money, other people that has not been spent or allotted in the district monies with the caps. I understand about the caps. My district went through it. We went through the whole thing. And if they're putting the money up in the admin level, which you may need to do, but understand that that's not money that's going to the teachers that are educating your children. That money, those monies. That budget comes out of somewhere. So I just take issue if you things are pulled back. It's because the teachers have been forced to do that, because you've come to expect a way above and beyond what they are required to do every day.
I did not downgrade these teachers. These teachers do a phenomenal job.
Qualification of that actually is that poor mother who was concerned about her children, her child.
Because let me just, all right.
You qualified that, but you're saying that if it happens, it's like their fault. That's the way it
But because we're being blamed up here that we're not setting a contract with them. We're being blamed in that respect. I'm not blaming these teachers. All I'm saying is that they're not hurting me by not being there for the students. My kids went through this district. My kids did phenomenal. I don't know. I'm not saying they don't do a great job. They do. But what I'm saying is, if there's letters going out, and I'm going to be honest, I heard there were job actions. There's rumors that go around. You know what? That's not my decision to make those job actions. That's theirs as NJEA reps and in the association. I don't want anybody to think, any teacher here to think that I said that they did not do a good job. You do an awesome job. But what I'm saying is, we're also getting the blame because we're not settling a contract. But it takes two parties to settle a contract.
I understand that, but you come and expect that they give way more than required. So when they don't have a contract and they do what is required, all of a sudden it's that they are hurting the parents' children. And it's a process.
Well, then I take that back. I did not mean that they were. I'm just saying, I just feel that we're being blamed too up here for not settling a contract. And all I was trying to say is that those job actions, they're not hurting me. They're hurting the students. And you know what? I give 250% at my job because I love my job, and that's what I do. And that's all I'm saying. I am not saying anything that these teachers do not do a good job. They do an awesome job. And my two children, I can say that because they've done very, very well. So I don't want any teacher out there to think that I am saying that they do not do a good job. That is not what I'm saying. But I'm not going to sit up here as a board member and be blamed for not settling a contract either, because it takes two parties to settle the contract. And I'm not going to be blamed up here either by saying it's all our fault. It's not all our fault. And I'm not saying it's all their fault, but it takes two parties to come together and make a decision. And that's...
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time, your effort. I think we accomplished some good things tonight. Thank you for coming. I'm sorry.
Is there something I can address?
Yes, go ahead, I'm sorry.
All right, my name's Colleen McLaughlin. I'm from 1441 Bittersweet Drive. I'm a one-to-one aide at Union Valley in the autism program. I'm not really sure how things get addressed when you hear rumors. I just heard about the 8th grade stuff. My daughter's in 8th grade, so I've got to go find out about that stuff. Between Friday afternoon and today, our program has been told that come next year, we have a new supervisor that I don't even know who this person is because I haven't met. And I've been told that this person has decided that next year that our autism program is going to be impacted in a couple ways, where our ABA therapies are only going to be done at home, not within the school. They're going to cut aides from 5 to 6 aides in a room for one-to-one aid down to 2 aides per room with our children. And there's like no summer program supposedly isn't going to happen. There's a bunch of rumors that instead of like having all the drama and gossip, like how do we go about, because we don't have contracts, we don't get a sick day off, we don't get a holiday, we don't get vacation paid, but it always gets brought to our attention that if you're out, how it impacts the school. And it does, trust us, we work our butts off and we all love it, it's the only reason we're there.
Sure,
Okay?
we understand that.
But with all these changes that are coming up, how do we find out, are these valid, is it a possibility? We're told we may not find out till the end of the school year and then be offered a one-to-one aid position somewhere else in the district with taking a pay cut. And then if we don't take that, you're kind of, oh, well, we can't collect unemployment, but we pay into unemployment and disability, but we can't get that either. So just trying to figure out how do we get our answers so we don't have the drama every day. It is stressful.
Well, there's nothing worse than the rumor mill, as we all
That's
know.
why I've never been to one except for a redistricting.
Yeah, there's always
meeting.
rumors
That's why I'm here
fly left
today.
and right about all kinds of things. Our Director of Special Education is sitting right there. She's our...
Dr. Martin? Okay.
Yes.
Hi.
So she's our new Director of Special Education. We're very proud to have her. She comes highly recommended. She comes from a tremendous background. We're very excited about having her on board. What you're saying is all new to me. So, I mean, I think what you have to wait and see is what starts to transpire. Maybe Violet can go over there and maybe dispel some of the rumors over there one day or something like that, and we'll go on from there. But
So as of right now, you can't say if there's any truth to any of this?
No, I can't.
I mean, because I know you have
We
your
will-
teachers that work without contracts, and we have nothing.
Everything that we do is always driven by IEPs. So whatever the decisions are based on the individual needs of the student is what's going to be decided. That's how programs get driven. Outside of that, I can't comment about anybody or anything. The only thing I do know is that I structure programs based on student need.
So, like, I know that I'm in the preschool. What grade are you in?
Second and third.
And I know our kids are one-to-one aides.
Which is in their IEP.
Which is in their IEP.
Which will be reevaluated at the end of the school year, and a determination based on the student need will be made at that time on whether or not that student requires a one-on-one.
So then, depending on how many kids need IEP, it'll be how many?
One-on-one,
Will
so that's
be-
how, yes.
yes.
And we'll do that by, because the IEPs are assigned in April.
Some are two-on-ones.
Oh, so we need 2-on-1 on some, and we're shortchanged on that. We're just finally getting staffed in our school,
Yeah.
because we've been
Yeah, don't
working
worry.
shorthanded.
Yeah, we'll try to have Ms.
It's
Martin
hard,
here.
it's hard
deal
to
with it.
say.
Yes.
It really is.
Even about the summer program,
What do you mean?
the ESY program.
Again, it goes based on student need.
Right,
It's
but I
been
mean,
enforced for, I know 6 years since I've been in
Yeah.
the district.
It
And it's only
like our
like,
kids can't go
seriously-
Christmas break and you want them to go 3 months in the summer.
It's student-driven, student need, individualized. I don't make decisions based on the group. It's individualized instruction based on the individual needs of the student.
So it'll be up to the caseworkers.
No, it's based on the needs of the student.
Right, the caseworkers settled on their IEPs with their parents. I have a child with an
IEP team
I know, my daughter has one.
It's the IEP team.
So when they collaborate, they will make the decision and that decision will be respected.
Yeah.
So whichever way it goes, come April, May, we should have an idea.
Yeah, if it's in the IP, we have that, so.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we're hearing like they're gonna start switching to 2 to 1 and to get rid of us.
Okay.
So.
Thank you. Thank you.
We need more.
Once again,
We know that, but-
thank you very much. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mrs. Gilch, second by Mrs. Reese. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Meeting's adjourned.